Captain Ryan Martinez checked the navigation display one more time before initiating the hyperspace jump. His small exploration vessel, the Horizon Runner, had been mapping uncharted systems for 6 months now. The crew of 5 specialists worked quietly at their stations, running final system checks before the jump. Everything looked normal. Ryan gave the command and felt the familiar lurch as the ship slipped into faster-than-light travel. Then everything went wrong. Alarms screamed across the bridge. The ship shuddered violently as something massive appeared directly in their path. Ryan had no time to react before the collision sent both vessels spinning out of hyperspace. Metal tore and systems exploded around him. He grabbed his seat as the ship tumbled through normal space, completely out of control. The emergency systems kicked in, but it was too late. The ship entered atmosphere of a nearby moon, burning through the air like a meteor. Ryan held on as the automated systems tried desperately to slow their descent. They crashed through a forest canopy, branches and leaves exploding around them. The final impact threw Ryan forward against his restraints. His head struck something hard, and darkness swallowed him. When Ryan opened his eyes, everything hurt. Emergency lights flickered in the damaged bridge. Smoke filled the air, making him cough. He released his safety harness and fell to the tilted floor. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. His right arm throbbed with pain, probably broken or badly bruised. He checked the other stations but found them empty. His crew must have evacuated during the crash. Ryan grabbed the emergency kit and stumbled through the broken ship. The hull had split open in several places, letting in strange purple sunlight. He emerged into an alien forest. Massive trees with silver bark stretched toward a lavender sky. 2 suns hung overhead, one yellow and one pale blue. The air was breathable but smelled wrong, like metal and strange flowers mixed together. Not far from his ship, Ryan saw another wreck. This one was different. Where the Horizon Runner looked functional and military, this vessel was elegant, covered in decorative panels and flowing designs. It was the ship they had collided with in hyperspace. Ryan approached carefully, calling out to see if anyone had survived. A voice answered him, speaking in a language he did not understand. The words were musical and sharp at the same time. Ryan followed the sound around the crashed vessel and found someone trapped beneath a fallen support beam. He stopped and stared. She was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a silver glow, like moonlight given form. Large violet eyes looked up at him with a mixture of pain and anger. She had features that were almost human but refined, perfected in some way. Her hair fell in waves of pure white around her face. She wore clothes that looked more like art than fabric, torn and dirty from the crash. She spoke again, more demanding this time. Ryan shook his head and pointed to his ear, trying to show he could not understand. The woman reached to her throat and pressed something. A small device there glowed softly. "Can you understand me now, primitive?" Her voice came through clearly, though her tone was cold and harsh. "Yes," Ryan said, moving closer to examine the beam trapping her. "Are you hurt badly?" "Of course I am hurt. I am trapped beneath this wreckage because of your inferior vessel's navigation failure." She tried to move and gasped in pain. "You will remove this immediately and summon help for me." Ryan knelt down to examine the situation. The beam was heavy, part of the ship's main structure. He could see her leg was pinned, possibly broken. "I'll help you, but you need to stay calm. Moving wrong could make it worse." "You dare give me orders?" The woman's violet eyes flashed with anger. "Do you have any idea who I am?" "Right now, you're someone who needs help," Ryan said. He positioned himself and grabbed the beam. "When I lift, pull yourself free. Ready?" She looked like she wanted to argue, but the pain won out. She nodded once. Ryan braced himself and lifted with all his strength. The beam was incredibly heavy, much more than it should have been. His muscles screamed and his injured arm felt like it was on fire, but he lifted it high enough. The woman pulled herself free with a cry of pain. Ryan let the beam drop and collapsed beside her, breathing hard. The woman stared at him with surprise in her eyes. "You lifted that alone," she said. That should not be possible for one of your kind. One of my kind? Ryan pulled himself up and opened the medical kit. I'm human. From Earth. And you are? I am Princess Lirana Velastara of the Valendri Empire. She said it like it should mean something important. You truly do not know who the Valendri are? We're pretty new to this whole space travel thing, Ryan said. He carefully examined her leg. It was badly bruised but not broken. Lirana watched him work with suspicious eyes. Why are you helping me? You could simply leave me here and save yourself. That's not how humans do things, Ryan said as he wrapped the bandage. We help people who need it. How barbaric, Lirana said, though her tone was less harsh than before. Wasting resources on others shows weakness. Ryan finished with her leg and started cleaning his own wounds. Maybe. But it's kept us alive on a pretty dangerous planet for a long time. Lirana looked around at the alien forest. Where are we? No idea. Some moon near where we collided. Ryan checked his communicator. Nothing but static. Our distress beacon was destroyed in the crash. Can you call for help? Lirana tried her own device and shook her head. The interference from this moon's magnetic field is blocking all signals. My ship's beacon was also destroyed. They sat in silence for a moment, letting that sink in. They were stranded on an unknown world, with no way to call for rescue. No one knew where they were. Ryan's crew was scattered somewhere in the forest. Night would come soon. We need shelter, Ryan said, standing up. And we need to find water and food. Can you walk? Lirana tried to stand and nearly fell. Ryan caught her, supporting her weight. She stiffened at his touch, but did not pull away. I can manage, she said proudly. Sure you can. Ryan helped her toward a flat area near the wrecks. Let me guess. Princesses don't do manual labor? Of course not. That is what servants are for. Well, Princess, I hate to break it to you. But, right now, we're both just survivors. Ryan began gathering pieces of wreckage to build a shelter. And if we want to stay alive, we need to work together. Lirana watched him work for a while, then slowly began helping, moving smaller pieces within her reach. She said nothing. But Ryan noticed the thoughtful look in her violet eyes, as the twin suns began to set, painting the alien sky in shades of purple and red. Ryan finished a basic shelter from debris and salvaged materials. It was not much, but it would keep them safe from the elements. He rationed out their food and water, giving Lirana a larger portion despite his size. Why do you give me more? She asked. You're injured. You need it more. Lirana studied him like he was a puzzle she could not solve. You are strange for a primitive being. Ryan smiled despite their situation. And you're pretty rude for a princess. Night fell over the alien moon. In the darkness, strange sounds echoed through the forest. Howls and screeches from creatures they could not see. Ryan sat at the entrance to their shelter, keeping watch. He had found a piece of metal that could work as a weapon. Lirana sat behind him, unable to sleep. Do you think we will survive this? I think we have a chance, Ryan said. If we're smart and work together, my people would never work with humans as equals. You are considered barely intelligent. Then your people might want to update their information, Ryan said. Something moved in the darkness beyond their shelter. Ryan tensed, gripping his improvised weapon. A massive shape emerged from the trees. Bigger than anything on Earth. It had too many legs and eyes that reflected the moonlight like mirrors. Rows of teeth filled a mouth that could swallow a person whole. The creature charged. Ryan moved fast, placing himself between it and Lirana. He swung his metal weapon, striking the creature's face. It reeled back. Surprised, Ryan did not give it time to recover. He grabbed a burning piece of wreckage from their small fire and thrust it at the beast. The creature roared and fled back into the darkness. Ryan stood ready, breathing hard, waiting to see if it would return. Long minutes passed. Finally, the forest grew quiet again. He lowered his weapon and turned back to the shelter. Lirana stared at him with wide eyes. You protected me. You could have run. Yeah, well? Ryan sat down, still watching the darkness. Like I said, that's how humans do things. Lorana said nothing more, but something had changed in the way she looked at him. The contempt was gone, replaced by something else. Curiosity, perhaps, or the first small seed of respect. The night stretched on, full of unknown dangers. But for now, they were safe. And against all odds, a human and an alien princess had survived their first day on a hostile world together. Morning light filtered through the shelter as Lorana opened her eyes. The twin suns were rising, casting strange shadows through the alien forest. She sat up slowly, her legs still throbbing with pain. Ryan was already awake, sitting at the entrance and staring out at the forest. He looked exhausted. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. "Did you sleep at all?" Lorana asked. Ryan turned to look at her. "Someone had to keep watch. How's your leg? It hurts less than yesterday." Lorana noticed that their supplies had been organized neatly. The water containers were refilled. "You did all this? While I slept?" "Couldn't sleep anyway." Ryan handed her a portion of food and water. Again, her portion was larger than his. "We need to explore today. Find out what resources this moon has. Maybe locate my crew if they survived." Lorana accepted the food, studying Ryan's face. He treated his own injuries carelessly, more concerned with her comfort than his own pain. In her world, such behavior was seen as foolish weakness, but watching him now, she did not see weakness. She saw something else entirely. They ate in silence. Then Ryan helped her stand. Her leg could bear weight now, though she still limped. Together, they walked through the forest. Away from the crash sites, Ryan moved carefully, watching for dangers. He stopped often to examine plants and rocks. "What are you looking for?" Lorana asked. "Anything useful. Food. Water. Materials." Ryan knelt beside a cluster of blue plants. "These look similar to edible vegetation from Earth. See the way the leaves grow? That pattern usually means they store water." He was right. When he carefully broke open a stem, clear liquid dripped out. He tested a small amount on his skin first, waiting for a reaction. When nothing happened, he tasted it carefully. "It's good. A bit sweet, actually." Ryan marked the location in his mind. "We should gather some on the way back." Lorana watched him work with growing fascination. "You know much about survival." "Had to learn. Earth is not an easy planet." Ryan stood and continued walking. "We have predators, extreme weather, diseases. Humans learn to adapt or die. Your world sounds violent." "It is. Was. Still can be." Ryan helped her over a fallen log. "But it taught us to be tough. To keep going even when things look impossible." They found a stream running through the forest. The water was clean and cold. Ryan filled their containers, while Lorana sat on a rock, resting her leg. She noticed how efficiently he moved, wasting no energy. Every action had purpose. "Tell me about your empire," Ryan said as he worked. "What is it like?" Lorana considered her words carefully. "The Valendri Empire spans 100 worlds. We are an old civilization. Ancient when your species was still learning to make fire. We have order, structure, tradition. Everyone knows their place. And your place is princess?" "Yes. I was born to rule, to marry well, to strengthen alliances." Lorana's voice grew quieter. "I have duties, responsibilities. What I want does not matter." Ryan sat beside her. "That sounds lonely." "Lonely?" Lorana laughed. But it was a sad sound. "I am surrounded by thousands of subjects, servants, advisors. How can I be lonely?" "Being surrounded by people and being connected to them are different things," Ryan said. "Do you have friends? People you can talk to about real things?" Lorana fell silent. The answer was no. But admitting it felt like showing weakness. In her culture, personal feelings were kept hidden, controlled. Yet something about Ryan made her want to speak truth. "No," she finally said. "Friends imply equality. A princess has no equals among her people." That does sound lonely. They sat together, listening to the stream flow past. Lyrana found herself asking, "Why did you become an explorer? Why leave your world?" Ryan smiled. "Humans have always wanted to know what's beyond the next hill. Some of us more than others. I wanted to see what was out there, wanted to prove that humans belonged among the stars, not just on Earth. And what have you found? Beauty, wonder, danger." Ryan looked at her. "And today, I found you." Lyrana felt strange warmth in her chest at his words. She looked away, confused by the feeling. "We should continue." As they explored further, dark clouds gathered overhead. Ryan noticed and urged them to move faster. They found a cave system, just as the first drops of rain began to fall. The rain quickly became a downpour, forcing them deep into the caves. Inside, bioluminescent crystals grew from the walls, providing soft blue light. The cave was dry and surprisingly warm. They sat together, listening to the storm rage outside. "Tell me more about Earth," Lyrana said. "What is it like?" Ryan described oceans and mountains, cities and forests. He told her about human history, the wars and peace, the struggles and triumphs. He spoke of art and music, love and loss. Lyrana listened, fascinated by the emotion in his voice when he described his home. "Your people feel things very deeply," she observed. "I guess we do. Is that bad?" "Different. Valendri are taught to control emotion, to value logic and order above feeling." Lyrana touched one of the glowing crystals. "But sometimes I wonder what we lose by always being in control." "You can let go here," Ryan said gently. "No one is watching. No one expecting you to be perfect." Lyrana looked at him. Really looked at him. In the blue light of the cave, his face was kind and open. He asked nothing of her except to be herself. It was a gift she had never received before. "I was traveling to my wedding," she said suddenly. "An arranged marriage to Prince Valen of the Korthan sector. I have never met him. I was told it is for the good of the Empire. And what do you want?" "Want?" Lyrana shook her head. "What I want does not matter. Duty matters. Honor matters. The Empire matters. But what about your happiness?" "Happiness is not a consideration for someone of my rank." Ryan frowned. "That's wrong. Everyone deserves to be happy. To choose their own path. That is very human thinking. Maybe, but it's right." A rumbling sound interrupted them. Part of the cave ceiling cracked and fell, blocking their exit. Dust and rocks filled the air. When it cleared, they were trapped in the deeper section of the caves. "Great," Ryan muttered, examining the blockage. "We need to find another way out." They explored the cave system together, moving carefully through narrow passages. The bioluminescent crystals lit their way, growing thicker as they went deeper. In one large chamber, they found an underground river flowing through natural channels in the rock. "This has to lead somewhere," Ryan said. "Rivers always find a way out." They followed the river, helping each other over difficult terrain. At one point, the path narrowed to a thin ledge along the cave wall. Ryan went first, testing each step. Lyrana followed, trying not to look down at the dark water below. Her injured leg gave out. She slipped, falling toward the river. Ryan reacted instantly, grabbing her arm and pulling her to safety. But the motion unbalanced him. Rocks began to fall from above, loosened by their movement. Lyrana saw them coming. Without thinking, she threw herself at Ryan, pushing him out of the way. The rocks struck her instead, knocking her down. Pain exploded through her shoulder and back. "Lyrana." Ryan was beside her immediately, checking her injuries. "Why did you do that?" "Oh, I do not know," she said. As surprised as he was, "I just reacted." Ryan carefully helped her sit up. Her shoulder was badly bruised, but nothing was broken. He tore part of his shirt to make a bandage, wrapping her injuries with gentle hands. "Thank you," he said quietly. For saving me. You saved me first. Yesterday, and again, today. Lirana met his eyes. Perhaps we are even now. I wasn't keeping score. I know. That is what makes you different. They continued on, moving slower now. Both were injured, tired, hungry. But they kept going, supporting each other. The river eventually led them to another opening in the caves. This one, leading back to the forest. The storm had passed. Evening was approaching. On the walk back to their shelter, they moved close together. Not because they had to, but because it felt natural. Comfortable. Ryan, Lirana said as their shelter came into view. Tell me about human concepts of friendship. Of bonds chosen freely rather than assigned by birth. Ryan explained as they walked. He told her about choosing who to trust, who to care about building relationships based on respect and shared experiences rather than duty or obligation. And love? Lirana asked, her voice soft. What is human love like? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Love is choosing someone. Every day. It's wanting their happiness even more than your own. It's being willing to sacrifice for them, to stand with them, to see them truly, and accept all of who they are. That sounds beautiful, Lirana said, and terrifying. It is both. They reached their shelter as the sun set. Ryan built a fire, while Lirana organized their gathered supplies. They worked together easily now, no longer strangers but partners in survival. As darkness fell, they sat by the fire. Lirana asked more questions about Earth and human culture. Ryan answered them all. Patient and honest. He asked about her life, her world, her dreams. For the first time, Lirana spoke openly about her fears and hopes. Somewhere during the night, as they talked and laughed and shared their stories, something shifted between them. The distance of different worlds began to shrink. Two beings from vastly different places found common ground in the most unexpected of ways. When Lirana finally fell asleep, exhausted from the day's trials, Ryan stayed awake again to keep watch. But this time, he found himself smiling. Despite the danger, despite being stranded and injured and alone, he felt something he had not expected to feel. Hope, and something else. Something warm and growing that he was not quite ready to name yet. In her sleep, Lirana smiled too. Her dreams filled with oceans she had never seen, and a voice that made her feel, for the first time in her life, truly understood. Ryan woke to the sound of voices. He grabbed his makeshift weapon and moved quietly to the shelter entrance. Lirana was already awake, her eyes wide with recognition. Standing at the edge of their camp was a tall Valendri male, heavily armored and armed with advanced weapons. His silver skin was darker than Lirana's, marked with scars from old battles. Princess Lirana, the warrior said, dropping to one knee. I am relieved to find you alive. I am Commander Thex, your assigned protector. I survived the crash, and have been searching for you. Lirana stood, wincing at the pain in her leg. Commander Thex, I am pleased you survived. This is Captain Ryan Martinez. He rescued me from the wreckage and has kept me safe. Thex's eyes moved to Ryan, and his expression turned cold. A human. You have been living with this primitive alone? He is not primitive, Lirana said firmly. He saved my life, twice. Thex stood and approached Ryan. The Valendri was taller and clearly stronger. He looked Ryan up and down with obvious disgust. I will take over the princess's care now. You may leave. I'm not going anywhere, Ryan said calmly. We're working together to survive and find rescue. A human does not give me orders. Thex turned to Lirana. Princess, proper protocol must be maintained. You cannot continue to associate with this creature as if you were equals. It is beneath your station and brings shame to the Empire. Lirana's face flushed, but she said nothing. Ryan saw her walls going back up, the princess mask returning. She looked at him with apologetic eyes. Perhaps Commander Thex is correct, she said quietly. I must remember who I am. The words hurt more than Ryan expected. He nodded slowly and stepped back. I understand. Over the next few days, everything changed. Thex took control of the camp with military efficiency. He forbade Lyrana from helping with manual labor or spending time alone with Ryan. She was confined to a sheltered area while the men worked. Ryan tried to talk to her, but Thex was always there, watching and judging. Ryan focused on building a signal beacon using parts from both ships. Thex dismissed the idea as impossible with primitive methods. But Ryan ignored him and worked alone, driven by the need to prove himself. More than that, driven by the need to show Lyrana that he was worthy of her respect. Late one night, Ryan returned to camp with the components he needed. His hands were cut and bleeding from working with sharp metal. He was exhausted, but triumphant. Lyrana saw him arrive and moved to help him, forgetting Thex's orders. You should not have attempted this, Thex said harshly, blocking her path. It is not your place. I will help him, Lyrana said, her voice stronger now. He has worked hard for all of us. You forget yourself, Princess. I am here to maintain proper order. This human is not your equal, and you demean yourself by treating him as such. Ryan has earned my respect, Lyrana said, moving past Thex. And I will not sit idle while he suffers. She took Ryan's hands and began cleaning his wounds. Thex watched with barely controlled anger. Ryan met the commander's eyes calmly, refusing to be intimidated. You are making a mistake, Princess, Thex said. When we return to the Empire, this behavior will be reported. Your father will be disappointed. Let him be disappointed, Lyrana said, surprising everyone including herself. I am tired of living for everyone else's expectations. Thex opened his mouth to respond. But a terrible roar cut through the night. The ground shook as massive shapes emerged from the forest. The predators had returned, and this time they brought their whole pack. There were 6 of them, each as large as the one Ryan had fought before. They circled the camp with intelligence in their glowing eyes. These were not mindless beasts, they were hunters, and they had found prey. Defensive positions, Thex shouted, raising his advanced weapon. The first blast of energy took down one predator, but the others scattered and attacked from different angles. Ryan grabbed a burning branch from the fire and a piece of sharp metal. He had no fancy weapons, just human cunning and desperation. A predator lunged at Lyrana. Ryan threw himself between them, driving his metal spear into the creature's mouth. It screamed and thrashed, throwing him aside. Thex fought with skill and power, his energy weapon cutting through the night, but even he was overwhelmed by the coordinated attack. One predator caught him from behind, massive claws tearing through his armor. Thex fell, blood pooling beneath him. Lyrana screamed his name. Ryan saw her standing there, defenseless, with 2 predators moving toward her. He did not think. He just acted. Running at the beasts, he used fire and metal and pure human rage to drive them back. He was injured, bleeding from new wounds, but he did not stop. The fight seemed to last forever. Ryan moved on instinct, using everything he had learned from hunting on Earth. He used the terrain, the fire, and the predator's own aggression against them. Slowly, impossibly, the creatures began to retreat. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they found something that fought back with a fierceness they did not understand. When the last predator fled into the darkness, Ryan collapsed beside Thex. The commander was badly wounded, but alive. Ryan immediately began applying pressure to the worst injuries, using techniques he had learned in military training. Help me move him to the shelter, Ryan said to Lyrana. Together, they carried the heavy Valendry warrior to safety. Ryan worked through the night, using their remaining medical supplies to stabilize Thex's condition. Why do you help me? Thex asked weakly. I have been nothing but cruel to you. Because it's the right thing to do, Ryan said simply. Thex closed his eyes, too weak to argue. Lyrana watched Ryan work with tears in her violet eyes. She had seen him fight like a demon to protect her, and then show mercy to someone who treated him with contempt. She had never witnessed such contradictions exist in one being before. When Thex was stable, Ryan finally allowed himself to rest. Lyrana cleaned and bandaged his wounds with gentle hands. They sat together outside the shelter as dawn approached. "You could have let him die," Lorana said softly. "He would not have blamed you. I'm not built that way." "I know." Lorana took his hand. "Ryan, I need to tell you something. These past days without you, following Thex's orders, staying away from you, it was wrong. I felt more alone surrounded by one of my own people than I ever felt with you." "Lorana, please, let me finish." She turned to face him fully. "You have shown me a different way of living. One based on choice and respect, rather than duty and hierarchy. You have treated me not as a princess, but as a person. And I realize now that what I feel for you is not just gratitude or friendship." Ryan's heart pounded. "What do you feel?" "I think I am falling in love with you," Lorana said, her voice trembling with emotion she no longer tried to hide. "I know it is impossible. We are from different worlds, different species, but my heart does not care about any of that." Ryan cupped her face gently with his hands. "I love you too. I think I have since that first day when you insulted me while I was saving you." Lorana laughed through her tears. "I was very rude." "You were. You still are sometimes." Ryan smiled. "But you're also brave and smart and beautiful. You're everything I never knew I was looking for." They leaned together, foreheads touching. The moment was perfect and fragile. Then, Ryan pulled back slightly. "We need to talk about what this means," he said. "You have a life waiting for you. Responsibilities. A wedding." "I do not want that wedding," Lorana said fiercely. "I do not want a life chosen for me by others. I want this. I want you. Your empire will not accept us. My people barely know you exist. This is going to be hard, Lorana. Maybe impossible." "Humans face impossible things all the time," Lorana said, echoing his earlier words. "You keep going anyway. So will I. So will we." Ryan looked into her violet eyes and saw determination there that matched his own. Slowly, carefully, he leaned in and kissed her. Lorana responded, her arms wrapping around him. The kiss was gentle at first, then deeper, filled with all the emotion they had been holding back. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. For a moment, they allowed themselves to simply be happy, two souls who had found each other against impossible odds. Inside the shelter, Thex stirred and opened his eyes. He had been conscious enough to hear their conversation. As a loyal servant of the Empire, he should have been horrified. But watching the way the princess smiled, seeing genuine joy on her face for the first time, he found he could not condemn them. Morning came slowly. Ryan and Lorana sat together, holding hands and making quiet promises about a future that seemed impossible. But humans specialized in making impossible things real, and Lorana was learning that sometimes the strongest choice was choosing what your heart wanted, even when the whole galaxy might stand against you. Above them, unseen in the daylight sky, a ship entered orbit around the moon. A Valendry Imperial cruiser. Responding to the emergency beacon that Thex had secretly activated during the night, rescue was coming. But with it came the end of their isolated world and the beginning of a much harder battle. The battle to choose love over duty, heart over obligation, and to prove that two people from different worlds could build a bridge strong enough to span the stars. The Imperial cruiser descended from the sky like a falling star. Massive and beautiful and terrible all at once. Ryan stood beside Lorana, their hands still intertwined, watching their time together come to an end. The ship landed in a clearing that its powerful engines burned clear of vegetation. A boarding ramp extended, and figures emerged. The first was clearly important. He wore robes that shimmered with embedded technology, and a crown of crystalline material rested on his head. His silver skin was paler than Lorana's, almost white, and his violet eyes were cold and calculating. Behind him marched soldiers in ceremonial armor. "Prince Valen," Lorana whispered, and Ryan heard the dread in her voice. Valen approached with a smile that did not reach his eyes. He looked at Lorana like she was a possession he had temporarily misplaced. His gaze passed over Ryan without even acknowledging his existence. "Princess Lorana." What a relief to find you alive. Your father was quite concerned. Valen's voice was smooth and practiced. Come, we must get you cleaned up and presentable. The wedding has been delayed long enough. Prince Valen, I must introduce Captain Ryan Martinez. He saved my life and protected me during our time here. Valen finally looked at Ryan, his expression one of mild amusement. A human? How quaint. Did it perform tricks for you? I have heard they can be quite entertaining in their primitive way. Ryan felt anger surge through him but kept his voice calm. I'm standing right here. And I can understand you perfectly. Of course you can. Like a trained animal learning simple commands. Valen turned back to Lirana. Come, princess. We are leaving immediately. I need to speak with you privately first, Lirana said, her voice shaking slightly. About the wedding, there is nothing to discuss. Everything is arranged. Valen gestured to his soldiers. Tend to the wounded guard, and prepare the princess for departure. The human can return to whatever hovel his people crawled from. Lirana looked at Ryan with desperate eyes, but soldiers moved between them. She was escorted toward the ship while medical personnel rushed to Thex's side. Ryan stood alone, watching her go, feeling powerless. He returned to his wrecked ship, needing to gather his few possessions. Inside the damaged vessel, his computer terminal flickered weakly with emergency power. Ryan absently checked it and found something unexpected. Data files had survived the crash, encrypted intelligence that the Horizon Runner had collected during its survey mission. Ryan decoded the files and felt his blood run cold. The information detailed a massive threat approaching this sector of space. The Krishak Swarm. A hostile alien race that consumed everything in their path. The data showed attack patterns, fleet movements, and projected invasion routes. The Valendri Empire was directly in their path. But there was more. Ryan's tactical training kicked in as he analyzed the data. The Valendri defensive strategy, which he could extrapolate from their ship positions and patrol routes, had a critical flaw. They were preparing for a conventional war, not a swarm attack. Their formations would be overwhelmed within hours. Ryan's mind raced. He saw the solution immediately. Years of studying Earth's military history, combined with his experience fighting the coordinated pack predators on this moon, gave him insights the Valendri military lacked. He knew how to fight swarm tactics. He knew how to win. He had information that could save millions of lives, including Lirana's. But would anyone listen to a human? Ryan copied the data and ran toward the Imperial cruiser. Guards blocked his path at the boarding ramp. I need to speak with your commanders, Ryan said urgently. I have critical intelligence about an incoming threat. The guards laughed. One of them pushed Ryan back. The human thinks it has something important to say. How amusing. Please, this is about the Krishak swarm. Your empire is in danger. The Krishak are being handled by our military minds, human. We do not need advice from primitives. Quote, Ryan heard Lirana's voice from inside the ship. Let him through. The guards hesitated but obeyed. Ryan rushed aboard and found Lirana in a preparation chamber, already being dressed in formal robes by attendants. She dismissed them with a wave. What is wrong? She asked. Ryan explained quickly, showing her the data. Lirana's eyes widened as she understood the implications. We must tell Prince Valen and his military advisors immediately. They found Valen in the command center, surrounded by officers. He looked annoyed at the interruption. What is the meaning of this? Valen demanded. Ryan stepped forward and presented his findings. He explained the Krishak threat, the flaws in the current Valendri defensive strategy, and his proposed alternative that could save both kingdoms. He spoke clearly and confidently, his tactical expertise evident in every word. The Valendri officers listened, and Ryan saw surprise in their eyes. His analysis was sound and detailed. Several officers began nodding, seeing the truth in his assessment. Valen's face grew red with anger. You dare lecture us on military strategy? You, a human, presume to know better than our finest minds? I'm not trying to lecture anyone, Ryan said. I'm trying to help. This strategy could save millions of lives. Your arrogance knows no bounds. Valen stood, trembling with rage. I will not accept advice from a species barely capable of spaceflight. Guards, remove this creature from my sight. But the data is accurate, one of the officers said hesitantly. His analysis has merit, Prince Valen. I do not care, Valen shouted. I will not be embarrassed by a human showing me up in front of my people. The strategy stands as is. Lirana stepped forward. Prince Valen, you are letting pride blind you to truth. Captain Martinez's plan could save our people. You defend this primitive over your own kind. Valen's eyes narrowed. I have heard reports of your inappropriate behavior during your stranding. Living alone with a human male. Allowing it to touch you. You have shamed yourself. And our empire. He saved my life. Then he did his duty as an inferior serves a superior. Nothing more. Valen moved closer to Lirana, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. You will marry me as arranged. You will forget this human. And you will never question me again. No, Lirana said clearly. I will not. The command center fell silent. Every Valendri present stared at the princess in shock. One did not refuse Prince Valen. One did not refuse a royal marriage contract. Valen's face twisted with fury. What did you say? I invoke the right of refusal, Lirana said, her voice growing stronger. An ancient law of our people. I declare you unworthy to be my husband. You have shown yourself to be cruel, prideful, and willing to sacrifice our people's safety to protect your ego. I refuse this marriage. You cannot do this, Valen hissed. I can and I have. Lirana stood tall, every inch a princess now. The law is clear. I have spoken before witnesses. Class. Armao. Clear. Valen's hands clenched into fists. Very well. If you invoke the right of refusal, then I invoke the right of challenge. Trial by combat. My champion against yours. If I win, you will marry me, and this human will be executed for corrupting a princess of the blood. If you win, the marriage is annulled. Lirana paled but nodded. I accept the terms. I choose Captain Ryan Martinez as my champion. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. A human champion for a Valendri princess. It was unheard of. Valen smiled coldly. Excellent. My champion is Krell, the undefeated warrior of the Korthan sector. He has won 300 combat trials. He has never lost. Valen looked at Ryan with triumph in his eyes. Your human will die tomorrow, princess, and then you will be mine. Lirana turned to Ryan, fear in her violet eyes. You do not have to do this. I cannot ask you to die for me. Ryan took her hands. You're not asking. I'm choosing. Just like you taught me about choosing what your heart wants. Krell is enhanced, genetically modified to be the perfect warrior. He is faster, stronger, more durable than any natural being. You cannot win. Maybe not, Ryan said. But I'm going to try anyway, because I love you. And because someone needs to stand up to bullies like Valen. Thex, who had been brought aboard on a medical stretcher, spoke weakly from the corner. The human speaks truth, princess. I have seen him fight. He does not know when to quit. It is both his greatest strength and his most foolish quality. That night, Ryan was given quarters on the ship to prepare. Lirana came to him despite Valen's orders forbidding contact. You cannot win, she said, tears streaming down her face. I have watched recordings of Krell's fights. He is a machine of death. He will kill you. Probably, Ryan agreed. But I won't make it easy for him. This is not a joke, Ryan. I know. Ryan pulled her close. But what else can I do? Let you marry that monster? Watch him lead your people to destruction? Because he's too proud to accept help? I'd rather die fighting than live knowing I could have made a difference. That is very human, Lirana said, remembering their earlier conversations. Yeah, it is. Ryan kissed her gently. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, I'm going to show the galaxy what a human can do when they're fighting for something that matters. Lirana held him through the night, both of them knowing it might be the last time. Outside, the twin moons rose over the alien forest, where they had first found each other. Inside, two beings from different worlds faced an impossible tomorrow, with nothing but love and hope to sustain them. In his quarters, Prince Valen smiled as he reviewed footage of Krell's previous victories. Tomorrow, the human would die, and the princess would learn her place. Everything would return to proper order, but he had made one critical mistake. He had never seen a human pushed to their limits. He had never witnessed what happens when a human fights not just for survival, but for love. And he had never learned that sometimes, the greatest warriors are not the strongest or fastest. Sometimes, they are simply the ones who refuse to give up. The arena was built overnight, using Valendry technology. A perfect circle carved into the forest clearing. Ships filled the sky above as word spread across the sector. A human challenging a Valendry champion for the hand of a princess. It was unprecedented. It was scandalous. And everyone wanted to witness it. Ryan stood in the center of the arena, wearing simple combat gear. Across from him, Krell emerged from the opposite entrance. The Valendry warrior was massive, nearly 7 feet tall, with muscles that looked carved from stone. Scars covered his silver skin like metals. His eyes held no emotion, no mercy, just cold calculation. Lyrana sat in the royal viewing box, her face pale but composed. Beside her, Prince Valen smiled with confidence. Other dignitaries filled the surrounding seats, including several human observers who had arrived after hearing about the trial. They looked worried for Ryan. The combat master, a neutral Valendry official, stood between the fighters. The rules are simple. Fight until one cannot continue or submits. Death is not required, but is permitted. Begin when the signal sounds. Ryan met Krell's eyes across the arena. The enhanced warrior studied him like a scientist, examining an insect. Ryan saw no hate there. Just professional interest in how quickly he would fall. The signal blared. Krell moved with impossible speed, closing the distance in seconds. His first punch would have killed an ordinary man. Ryan barely dodged. Feeling the wind from the blow pass his face, he tried to counter, but Krell blocked easily and struck Ryan's ribs. Pain exploded through his chest as he was thrown backward. Ryan rolled to his feet, already knowing he was outmatched in every physical way. Krell advanced methodically, landing 2 more devastating blows. Blood filled Ryan's mouth. His vision blurred. The crowd murmured, already seeing the inevitable conclusion. But Ryan did not fall. He steadied himself and moved differently now, watching Krell's patterns. Enhanced or not, fighters fell into rhythms. Ryan began to see them. He dodged the next strike by a hair, then the next. He could not match Krell's power, but he could be unpredictable. Krell's eyes narrowed slightly. The human was lasting longer than expected. He increased his speed, landing several brutal hits. Ryan's shoulder dislocated. His leg buckled. More blood flowed. Any normal being would have collapsed. Ryan stood up again. The crowd grew quieter. They watched the human rise after blows that should have ended him. There was something wrong with this creature. Something unnatural in his refusal to accept defeat. Krell felt it too, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Ryan used the terrain now, the uneven ground and scattered debris from the arena's construction. He made Krell chase him, work for every strike, and slowly, impossibly, the enhanced warrior began to tire. Not much, but enough. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They chased prey for hours, days, until the stronger, faster animals collapsed from exhaustion. It was written into Ryan's genes. This ability to keep going long after others quit. And now, bleeding and broken, he drew on millions of years of evolution. Krell landed another massive blow. Ryan went down hard, his vision going dark at the edges. Lyrana stood in the viewing box, tears streaming down her face. She could not watch him suffer anymore. "Stop this," she called out. "I submit. Let him live." Ryan heard her voice through the pain. He looked up at her, saw the love and anguish in her eyes, and he smiled through his broken lips. Not yet, he whispered, too quiet for others to hear. Then louder, for everyone. Not yet. He rose one more time. The crowd gasped. Valen's smile faded. Even Krell stepped back. Uncertainty now clear in his expression. This human should be dead. Every calculation said he should be finished. But he kept standing. Ryan saw his opening. Krell's guard was down, just for a second. Distracted by confusion at the human's endurance. Ryan moved, using the last of his strength. It was not a powerful strike, but it was perfectly placed, targeting a nerve cluster that humans and Valendri apparently shared. Krell stumbled, surprised by the sudden pain. Ryan pressed the advantage desperately. He could not overpower the champion, but he could be smarter. He used everything he learned from fighting the moon's predators, from studying Earth's military history, from pure human stubborn creativity. A sweep of the leg, a handful of dirt in the eyes, a strike to the throat when Krell's guard dropped. Nothing honorable or elegant, just survival, fighting, street fighting, the kind of combat humans learned when fancy techniques failed. Krell roared in frustration and charged. Ryan sidestepped at the last second. The enhanced warrior's momentum carried him into the arena wall. Ryan did not give him time to recover. He grabbed a piece of debris and struck with desperate fury. Then the sky lit up with fire. Ships descended from orbit, dozens of them, moving in coordinated swarms. The Kreshak had arrived. Their vessels were organic-looking, twisted and alien. They opened fire on the gathered ships without warning. Explosions filled the air. The arena erupted in chaos as people fled for cover. Krell and Ryan stopped fighting, looking up at the new threat. The combat trial became meaningless as a real war began above them. Ryan ran to the command center, pushing through the panicking crowd. He found Valen and his officers frozen with shock as Kreshak ships tore through their unprepared defenses. "Implement my strategy," Ryan shouted. "Now, or everyone dies." "You have no authority here," Valen said, but his voice lacked confidence. Lorana appeared beside Ryan. "I give him authority. As Princess of the Valendri Empire, I order you to follow his commands." The officers looked between Valen and Lorana, uncertain. More explosions rocked the area. People were dying while they hesitated. "Listen to the human," Krell said, entering the command center. Blood dripped from his wounds, but he stood straight. "I have fought many opponents, most stronger than him, but none braver. If he says he can save us, I believe him." The officers began following Ryan's orders. He coordinated human ships and Valendri vessels into new formations, using tactics designed specifically for swarm combat. He positioned forces based on Kreshak attack patterns from his data. He turned the confused retreat into an organized defense. Valen tried to countermand orders, but his own officers ignored him now. They saw his cowardice, his pride costing lives while the human fought to save them. Even his champion had chosen to follow Ryan's lead. The battle raged for hours. Ryan directed forces with calm precision. His tactical genius finally recognized. Lorana worked beside him, using her knowledge of Valendri technology to implement his strategies. Together, they turned the tide. When the last Kreshak ship fled into hyperspace, the gathered forces erupted in cheers. They had won. Against superior numbers, they had won because a human saw what the Valendri missed. Because different perspectives working together were stronger than either alone. In the aftermath, Lorana's father, Emperor Korvan, contacted them directly. His image appeared on the main screen, an older Valendri with kind eyes and the bearing of true authority. "Daughter, I have watched everything. The trial, the battle, and your choice of champion." The Emperor smiled. "You have shown wisdom beyond your years, and Captain Martinez has proven that humanity deserves respect, not contempt. Father, I must tell you, I love Ryan. I cannot marry Prince Valen." "I know, child. Valen's true nature has been revealed today. His cowardice and pride nearly doomed us all." The Emperor looked at Ryan. "Captain Martinez, You have saved thousands of Valendri lives. You have earned a debt that can never be fully repaid. I offer you a position as strategic advisor to the Imperial fleet. And I give my blessing to your union with my daughter, if you both wish it." Ryan looked at Lirana, seeing hope and love shining in her violet eyes. "I wish it more than anything." "As do I," Lirana said, taking his hand. The Emperor nodded. "Then it is settled. Let this day mark a new alliance between humanity and the Valendri Empire. One built not on conquest or obligation, but on mutual respect and proven worth." 100. Valen was escorted away in disgrace, his political power shattered. Krell approached Ryan and bowed deeply. A gesture of profound respect. "You defeated me without finishing the trial," the champion said. "Not through strength, but through something I did not understand until today. Heart, determination, the refusal to accept defeat. These are gifts I wish to learn." "They're gifts all humans have," Ryan said. "We just sometimes forget to use them." Months passed. Ryan and Lirana worked together from a joint human Valendri station, orbiting the moon where they first met. Their partnership became legendary, a symbol of what different species could achieve together. Humans gained respect among the galactic community, no longer seen as primitives, but as valuable allies with unique strengths. Ryan stood at the observation deck, watching Earth and Valendri Prime visible in the same sky. Lirana joined him, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "The crash that brought us here?" "Not for a second," Ryan said, turning to face her. "Sometimes, the worst disasters lead to the best discoveries." "Very human thinking," Lirana teased. "You say that like it's a bad thing." "It used to be. Now I see it as your greatest strength." She kissed him softly. "Thank you for teaching me that choosing love over duty is not weakness. It is the bravest choice of all." "You taught me that too," Ryan said. "That sometimes being trapped with someone forces you to see past all the things that make you different and recognize what makes you the same." They stood together, looking out at the stars. Two people from different worlds who proved that the barriers between species were not as strong as the bonds between hearts. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers. But facing it together, they knew they could overcome anything, because humans never gave up. And Lirana had learned to fight like a human now, with hope and love as her weapons. Together, they would face whatever came next, partners in every way. Proof that the greatest romances are the ones that span not just distance, but the space between worlds. The future was unwritten, full of challenges and unknowns, but it was theirs to face together, and that made all the difference.